Session 6, Guided Reading and Comprehension. We're starting to get into a field where there's a lot more responsibility back on the reader. However, we're giving them a lot of support through that to make sure that what they're actually doing is actually built on a good solid foundation and doesn't just become a testing thing. Guided reading is a far better activity than comprehension. Comprehension is, in many ways, has been overused in the past and doesn't really understand how well we can actually achieve the same result in the same way that we use reading, as opposed to we try and get children to learn reading. One of the things in this program, session 6 is just looks like this: observation gives understanding. And that's one of the keys today, is it's as much about observation as getting correct answers, or correct answers in your view. It has the suggested program in. The first part of this is from the I Can Read box or previous sessions. Just choose a reading activity and read 10 minutes just to get the kids' heads around getting into the reading mode again. Number 2, or section 2, introduce the guided reading, how guided reading works, useful tips, and together complete the examples. And we allow about 15 minutes for that. The guided reading activity that you set, you identify your purpose, encourage the helpful strategies, e.g. skimming, and 30 minutes will take care of that reasonably comfortably. And then you have a discussion sharing time, 15 minutes, and the last bit, the wrap up, 5 minutes for that. So the other thing with this one is there's different options. So option 1 from the introductory activity, and then different activities there. Guided reading is very similar on the surface to comprehension. The major difference is that in guided reading you set the activity before you do the reading. It's very much along the lines of why we read. When we go to find some information, we have an idea in our head of what we're actually looking for, and that really brings in a lot of skimming or skim reading. And skim reading is really valuable because we live in a period of time where we have absolute information overload. You can't read everything that is in print. You Google search, you get 5 or 10 or 20 or 300 million different websites. You're going to choose 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 to skim through to find the information you want. So you have to become a very discerning reader, and that means that you have to be clear in what you're looking for and skimming to find it. If that particular website or article is not giving you what you want, then you have to move on. You don't have time to go through an entire book just to find out if it did actually tell you something useful. So guided reading sets the purpose first, and that's the key difference. Comprehension is a test of remembering, not necessarily even of understanding. So guided reading does everything. It sets the purpose, it makes sure that there is understanding of what the purpose is, of why they're reading that article, what they want to find out, and then when they actually find the information, they may only need to read a quarter, if that, of the text, and they've actually completed the activity, which is great because that's how we tend to use reading. We don't read everything that's put in front of us. We don't have that much time. Again, at the end, it's got the wrap up. Don't forget this bit, it's really important. And I put a few notes there about comprehension. Yes, it can be a useful activity. However, I'd much prefer guided reading, or we used to actually call it directed silent reading. So it's much more an engaging of the reader in the reading task than actually just a question time afterwards to see if they get the same understanding out of that particular item or article that you did. Remember that when you finish, to give that praise, because praise is such an essential element. One other thing in this one is a little tick chart, what went well today, and that's for you just to whiz down and actually tick off, and it's a great place to come back and refer to when you're putting your program together. There's some extension activities with more complex questions as well, So as you can see, this is quite a comprehensive session. It has a lot of ability to extend and also has a lot of ability to create a much better reading behaviour and reading understanding than a lot of the activities that focus on just comprehension. So comprehension, easy to overuse, directed silent reading, much more likely to reflect what they're going to need to be able to do in the future. So enjoy that activity, because I think you'll find that once your reader engages with the concept of thinking about what they're looking for and reading for that, it'll smooth out the reading process, because they're not distracted by trying to get all of the more difficult jargon that might be in the article, but also they're actually going to get a lot more reward and a lot more understanding and a deeper understanding of what they're reading about. So enjoy, have fun, and lots of praise.